For this question, let's start with option D, shall. Now, shall is future tense, right? Say what you shall. Okay, this does not fit. It is grammatically impossible to use shall here. So this is not the answer. Option C, must. Now, must is grammatically possible, but let's take a look at option B, can. Can is also grammatically possible. Now, option A, will. This is the answer to this question. Say what you will. This is an idiomatic expression that means whatever your opinion is, objections might be, it will not change the outcome. It will not change what I intend to do. Okay, and it fits perfectly because of the last phrase, I am determined to leave. Okay, so this is perfect. It completes it and it makes a lot of sense. Say what you will, I am determined to leave. So final answer is option A. Okay, so give this a shot in 5 seconds. Let me know what your answer is. Now, several dash attended. Okay, so with the several, we know that we need a plural noun. Okay, with the options, these are compound nouns. Okay, so the compound noun is head of state. Now, you need to know the principal word. Okay, the principal noun. And the principal noun is head. So to know what the principal noun is, you need to ask yourself, who is it referring to? It's referring to the head, the leader, right? So the principal noun would take what? Would take S, okay? So the answer to this question is heads of states, okay? So there are more examples of, compound nouns, and you need to know how they are pluralized, okay? Son-in-law, sons-in-law, daughter-in-law, daughters-in-law, editor-in-chief, editors-in-chief, okay? So final answer to this question is what? Option C. For this question, examiners are testing your knowledge of relative pronouns, okay? So give this a shot in 5 seconds. Let me know what your answer is, okay? Now, starting with which mainly refers to animals or things. For example, the book which was stolen has been found, okay? The book which, so which refers to the book which is a thing, okay? Now, whose mainly shows possession. For example, this is the boy whose father is a nurse, okay? Boy whose father. So we're talking about the boy's father. It shows possession, okay? Good. Now, option B and D both refer to people, okay? But what's the difference? Who is subject pronoun? Whom is object pronoun? And you know what your subject is? Doer of an action. Object, receiver of an action. Now, I want you to concentrate on the lady because the relative pronoun has to refer to the lady. Now, ask yourself, what is the lady doing? Is the lady performing the action or receiving the action? Now, when you take a look at the sentence, is that the lady that you planned to visit? You see that you is the one planning to visit. So you is carrying out the action. The lady is going to be receiving the visitation, right? Good. So final answer to this question is whom, because the lady is at the receiving end. Okay. So final answer is option D. Here is another question under relative pronouns. So I'll give you 5 seconds to give me an answer, okay? Now, you agree with me that the answer is between option A and C, right? Because whose is possessive, and then option D, which refers to animals or things, and it doesn't fit, right? Good. Now, who is subject pronoun? Whom is object pronoun? Now, the next thing you're going to do is concentrate on the players. The players is what we call the antecedent. So whatever will fill in the blank, the space, must refer to the players. Now, the next question you're going to ask yourself is what is the players doing in this sentence? What are they doing, basically? Good. Are they performing the action or receiving the action? Now, let's read the sentence. The players dash were selected will represent the school. Now, do not let "we're selected" fool you, okay? Some of you might be thinking, oh, we're selected, and so the players are receiving the action. They are not performing the action. They are being selected. Do not do that, okay? Read the sentence well. If you think that way, then you're not reading the sentence well. The players dash were selected will represent the school. So the main sentence here is the players will represent the school. So the players is the subject. Will represents is the verb phrase. The school is the what? Object. That makes option C the answer to this question. Who? Now, dash were selected is called a relative clause, or what we call adjectival clause. And you know the function of an adjectival clause. It modifies the noun phrase, the players, okay? So it's really not necessary, okay? Just remove that clause, okay, and understand the sentence. The players is the subject, okay? So final answer to this question is option C. So this question is under quantifiers or determiners, right? And I want you to try this question. Let me know what your answer is first before I explain. Now, these options are all quantifiers, and you know what quantifiers do, right? They function as adjective. They tell you more about a noun or modify a noun. Good. Now, the first thing you're going to do is identify the noun that we want to quantify, okay? And that is officers, okay? Officers. Now, the next question you're going to ask yourself is officer a countable or an uncountable noun? Officer is a countable noun. Good. Now, what's the difference between little and few? Okay, little is used for uncountable noun. So we speak of little advice, little information, little time, little water, right? But few is used for what? Countable nouns. Few books, few tables, few pencils, right? Good. So you know the difference. Now we can easily eliminate option D and option B, and we're left with A and C. Good. Now, what is the difference between a few and few? This is where it gets challenging. Now, a few is simply positive. What do I mean by positive? I mean, it means some. It means enough, right? So in this context, the officers are enough to be noticed, right? Good. Now, few is negative on the other hand. So few means, almost none, not many, hardly any. Okay, so now we need to determine if the sentence is positive or negative. Yeah, so this is where context comes in, right? The registrar discovered to his surprise that even at 9 a.m., dash officers were in the office. So this is negative. And how do I know this, or how do we know this? Surprise, 9 a.m. We know in the context of, an office setting, you should resume, before 9, sometimes 8, right? Good. So these words are indicators that this sentence is negative. So in essence, it means the registrar discovered to his surprise that even at 9 a.m., not many officers were in the office. So the answer to this question is few. Now compare this sentence to this one. The registrar was relieved to discover that even at 6 a.m., dash officers were in the office. Now, this is positive. Why? Because of the keywords. What are the keywords? Relieved, 6 a.m., right? Good. So these are indicators that the situation is what? Positive. And then we can choose a few. But here, it is what? Few. So the final answer to this question is option C. Here is another interesting question. So give this a try. Let me know what your answer is in 5 seconds. So this question is under idiomatic expression. Now there's something about idiomatic expression that you should know. Idiomatic expressions go beyond grammar rules. They are not limited or restricted to grammar rules. So if you approach this question using grammar, you will most likely select option C, wisest, because when we speak of superlative, they are usually introduced with the article the, right? So we speak of the wisest, the strongest, the hardest, right? Good. Now, when you think of wiser, which is comparative, you usually see the word than, wiser than, right? Bigger than, stronger than. Good. Now, like I said, this question is under idiomatic expression, and the fixed expression is none the wiser, okay? It means still don't understand, none the wiser, okay? So, even after his explanation, I was none the wiser. It means I still didn't understand, okay? So, final answer to this question is option A. For this question, your examiners are testing your knowledge of what classes, okay? So this is pretty easy. Now, give this a try in 5 seconds. Let me know what your answer is. So the word mature can function as a verb and an adjective. And there are so many examples like this, okay? We have empty, close, open, dry. So these are words that can function as both a verb and an adjective. So you need to read a sentence. You need to understand the sentence and determine whether you need a verb or an adjective to complete the sentence. So let us read the sentence. I don't believe that any Dutch person would do such a thing. Person. Okay, so we need to modify the word person. And you know what an adjective is? It tells us more about a noun. Good. So we need an adjective to complete this sentence, and that's why the answer is option B. Now take a look at option A. Option A is what? A verb. Okay, it can serve as the past tense or past participle of the verb mature. Now take a look at option C. Option C is a tricky one. Now option C can function as a verb in continuous form. For example, I am maturing. Okay. It can also function as a noun, as in a gerund. For example, maturing takes time. Okay. Now finally, maturing can function as an adjective, as in a participial adjective. Now let me explain participial adjective. Now when we say a maturing person or a maturing child or a maturing economy, it means it is in the process of becoming mature. Okay. But when we say mature as an adjective, the person is already mature. Okay. So there's a difference between the process and already made. Okay. So we need mature, already made. When you look at this sentence, I don't believe that person would do such a thing. The best answer is option B, mature.